Meeting is called to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Kramer? Mrs. Lane?
Here.
Mrs. Rich?
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Here.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
Here.
Mr. Parzak?
The meeting is now open. Adequate notice of the meeting was provided by posting a copy of the time and place on the municipal clerk's bulletin board and mailing a copy of the same to the press and the Cape May County Herald on January 4th, 2017. And also, this meeting is being video recorded as well. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, we'll start the work session with A&F. Mrs. Lane?
You want to do the department reports first?
Yeah.
Okay, get them over them. Tax assessor?
Good afternoon. Happy 4th of July. Vital is closed today because I guess the state shut down. So I don't have a report from Vital, other than I know that they're out there. People are coming in with little cards that they left. So it seems like they're out and about doing their job. Basically, I'm just trying to keep up with construction and deeds. There's a lot going on, so. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Margaret? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. And I'll read the tax collector's report. She was unable to make the meeting today. As of June 28th, a memo from Ray Brown, County Tax Administrator, indicated that the county tax rate will be struck relatively soon, so we do not anticipate any delays in getting out the tax bills. The the statutory tax sale process will officially commence in July with a tax sale date scheduled for Wednesday, September the 13th. All 2016 delinquent taxpayers will be mailed an official tax sale notice. As of June 30th, we have received 261 direct debit authorizations for tax payments and 209 authorizations for utility payments. So that's taking off quickly. Meter readings, they're in the process of collecting the meter readings for the summer quarter. Utility violations, meter box violations, as of December 2016, all meter box violations had been remedied. Vent cap violations, as of May 1st, there was 4 violations remaining. And irrigation violations, as of June 30th, there were 3 violations that had been reported. And
Just
that's
a message for Deborah. I've heard so many comments, positive comments, about being able to use direct debit,
great.
especially for those who are not here all year round. But even those who are year-round residents are very grateful for it.
Okay. Construction and zoning.
What about?
Right.
Keep skipping me.
Good afternoon. As Margaret had said, the July 4th deadline for closings and new homes, we were pretty busy last week trying to get a lot of inspections in and stuff, and we did get a lot of them done. I'd like to thank the support of the staff and the employees for helping my transition to Stone Harbor. It's been wonderful. The Yacht Club received their approvals at the zoning board, so it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful building. If you ever get a chance to see, the plans are in our office, but they got their approvals. In cooperation with the administrative office and public works, we have developed a new form for when buildings close. They have to get an approval, or not an approval, but just a send a fax. We will send a fax to the water department stating that the building is under the approved final water meter, so no more temporary meters. So we're going to close a gap that was in the process there by doing this form now for all COs. We'll have to get that form from water department. And business registrations were going good. I was talking to Carrie, we're almost done. We're down to, I guess, probably about 15 now or so left of the business registrations. So everything's going along really well. It's been a good transition, and I thank the help.
And just a question, any update at all on the Reeds? Are they pretty much at a standstill at this point for the summer, or is there going to be anything more?
I have not heard any more action since the last meeting when I was
Okay.
here. There has been nothing said. We're still waiting on I guess it was DEP or CAFA. That has still not
Okay.
come in, so. I
Nothing
guess
so
that's
far?
right.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure everyone will agree that the curtain, I guess that's the word I should use, that they have used on their cyclone fence is really attractive, much better than a cyclone fence. And it's very,
Yes.
it's easy on the eye.
Cape Atlantic was very pleased with it as well.
Well,
So,
it's very,
the
very
engineering,
nice.
yes. So,
Yeah.
Ray, quick question.
Yes.
Did the yacht club indicate if they're going to start or plan to start construction in the fall, or did they give a time frame? You said you have plans, but I don't think you have plans that are,
No, we
Permit
don't have
ready.
construction plans.
Okay,
And-
right.
And it still has to go through that process. I thought they wanted to start in August sometime, mid-August, but
That's why they
the construction plans for that job will be detailed. There's a few issues that I was looking at that will have to be detailed down.
And didn't they also need to talk to Public Works? Wasn't there a condition of where they're,
Yes,
on the approval to consult with Public Works as far as the drainage from the site
yes.
and
We
infrastructure
made-
and
we
things
made
like
sure
that?
That was right in the resolution. that They
Okay.
gotta go to Public Works, yes.
I don't think they could start regardless until the appeal period expires. Is the appeal period 30 days from, to say if someone wanted to appeal the decision of the zoning board?
Of the zoning board, it's 45 days. on
45,
Okay, so that,
Planning board, same thing.
No, it's zoning board.
Well, either one, from the date of the publication of the decision, 45.
They can't start construction for 45 days?
Well, they could,
at your own
but they
risk.
do it
At risk.
Okay, okay,
Well, they're not
I understand.
45 days.
okay.
Yeah, they're not going to do it in August.
Did not know that.
any more questions? If not,
Thanks, Rick.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Borough Clerk.
For the Borough Clerk's office for June, total taken in $10,104.60. And in the construction office, total fees collected $28,616. That's all.
Planning board update, is there any? Nothing, right?
We have not met since the last council meeting. We're next due to meet July 17th. The Planning Board Review Subcommittee did meet.
We did.
If Charles or Josie want to give an update on that, a couple of members were unable to make it at the last minute. Thankfully, we have 2.5 years, so we can,
This was a preliminary meeting, for sure.
hey,
A lot of lead time.
hey, thank God.
Staying ahead of the curve.
So either these guys were at that, just,
It was
let's
just-
talk about what happened.
It was nice because we met the planners. There was two planners,
Mott and Associates.
right, and Wayne Conrad came in a little bit late, and Charles and I. So we just had a little brain session of, we were everywhere. So
And two members, Mia Donnell and
Cathcart,
Bill Cathcart, were unable to make it.
so.
So, did you set the schedule for the next meeting, or was
No.
anything,
It
okay?
was left to be determined
Right.
after Labor Day would be the next full-on session of the subcommittee. But I think we met for about 2 hours and
Yeah.
did a good overview with just almost like a think tank sort of.
Yeah. There's a lot of
brainstorm
thinking.
Rather than specifics, but just going over our existing master plan and giving thoughts, sharing thoughts and ideas. It was really productive.
Okay.
Okay. I will give the engineer's report. He was unable to attend the meeting. Let's see, the 2008 Small Cities Grant Program, which would be for the ADA accessible improvements and the bathroom. We are in the process of advertising the notices for public hearings on that, and they are in the process of preparing the application, so that will go forward. The capital improvements, the sanitary sewer, water main, beach outfall Phase 3 is in the process of closeout, and the contractor's working on a punch list. 2016 Utility and Road Program is in the process of the closeout, and they're working on the punch list. Golden Gate is complete with the exception of final surface course paving and corrective repairs on the punch list items. Resurfacing of First Avenue, 105th and 107th Street. The project's complete and the contractor is working on punch list items. The Flood Hazard Risk Reduction and Resiliency Program. The engineer is working on detailed specs on that, and that is ongoing. The 95th Street DOT grant, we received the one for $158,000 and the additional $179,000. They're doing the survey and design is complete. We did send a letter off to the state, just reminding them that we needed an extension on the first phase until after the police building is actually constructed. So our plan is to do the work by the bulkhead moving east first and save this for last. We're just waiting for confirmation from the state that they don't see an issue with it. We don't anticipate any issue, but we just want that in writing from them. We're still working with Atlantic Electric on finalizing the contract for their contribution to the road overlay on that section where that they did the electric underground. And police station expansion, they're preparing the bid documents for the design, and they're still on schedule for the public bidding in mid-August. And 93rd Street sanitary sewer pump station replacement. The survey, base mapping, soil borings, and geotechnical report are complete. The permit application to DEP is complete, and they will be submitting the permit application, and the design of the project is ongoing. The other topic that was on the agenda for the engineer, the bulkhead heights, we have a meeting scheduled on Wednesday to discuss this further, so that we'll have supplemental information at our next meeting.
And who are you meeting with?
We're meeting with the engineer. We've asked Lenore and Ray Roberts to meet with us on that.
Okay, thank you.
And the the road report, I'll hold off on that, and we can discuss that a little bit more when we get into the Public Works report on that. And that's everything. And
Because I have some questions about that. Does he have anything in there, or are we going to hold off on that as far as the number of emergency street openings on fully constructed infrastructure and all? We want
Yeah,
to know that.
He has to give that information.
Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, thank you.
All right, I think next is the work session policy and procedures, and the committee policies and procedures. A&F met last week. We went over some suggestions. I took those suggestions and created an executive policy, which you have before you. I'll start with the standing committee meetings. I'll go over it, and then you guys can look at it, and the intent, if there's no issues with it, we'll bring it back for council to pass a resolution to adopt the policy at the next council meeting. But the purpose basically is to formalize a procedure for our standing committee meetings. The policy pursuant to Borough Code 10-16, there shall be the following standing committees of the Borough Council: Public Safety, Admin and Finance, Public Works, Recreation and Tourism, Natural Resources and Utilities. And then pursuant to Code 10-17, in conjunction with the Borough Administrator and Department Heads, committees shall, for their functional areas, perform the following: develop and implement policies which are unique to their function, develop operating plans for the function, develop budgets for presentation to council, monitor performance of the departments, make reports and recommendations to council, approve purchase orders in line with council policy, initiate and conduct investigations of activities within their functional areas, with assistance from the borough solicitor, develop ordinances and resolutions to implement recommended actions. The standing committees may not develop and implement policies which are universal in nature and cross functional area lines, make promises or commitments to anyone which directly or by inference tends to bind the council, authorize deviations from expense budgets and salary plans previously approved by council unless the deviation is approved by council prior thereto, act in such a manner or make decisions which may set a precedent or bind borough council or which violate established council policy, circumvent the chain of command to directly supervise employees. Now, the functions and things that you cannot do, that is taken directly from the borough ordinances, okay? Then, in spirit of the Borough Code 10-15, attendance at meetings, there shall be 4 standing meetings per year. The borough administrator, after consultation with committee chair and department head, may schedule additional meetings as needed. However, keeping in mind the intent is to bring most items for discussion with the full council at a workshop session. Procedures for the committee meetings. In consultation with the borough administrator and department head, the committee chair shall prepare an agenda for quarterly meetings. Agendas shall be sent to all committee members at least 3 days in advance of the meeting. No member of council or department head can invite to any committee meetings an outside contractor, paid consultant, borough engineer, or solicitor without prior approval from the borough administrator if said attendance will result in expense being charged to the borough. I don't know if you want to have a discussion on that, or comments, questions?
I've gone over this, and of course with A&F, and Jill kind of tweaked it to where we want to be. I'm happy with this the way it is. As long as we all follow it, we'll be in good shape.
Okay.
Anybody else, any comment?
I'm glad to see the A in the spirit of the Borough Code, because I do think there are going to be times, at least I'm going to speak for natural resource, that we will need more than 4 meetings a year, but this lets us do that.
Right,
So,
gives you that flexibility.
yes, yes. So that part, yeah, we can all just reread it and do it, it'll be great.
And then set the meetings, pretty much, I guess would you like them set in January? Is there that's the only other thing I think that's out there.
Right, I think they should.
When do they get put on
scheduled.
people's calendars so they become aware of
Because you
it?
can't just decide
Yeah,
today you're going to have a
I think
meeting
it's a good
tomorrow.
thing to try to set it in the beginning of the year, set them up for the quarterly, and
Yeah.
you can always tweak it as if an issue arises, but I think if they're set, it's a little bit easier for everybody with their busy schedules to.
So maybe
do
at
that
this
stuff.
point, get a minimum of 2 on the calendar?
I think I did all 4. Well,
Now, so people know through the
We took budget
end
into
of the year.
consideration. We figured August. We didn't
Right.
necessarily realize we were going to have this one, but getting this all together, I didn't want to do it alone without the 2 committee members there, so we didn't make it a full A&F, but Sue was there, Jill, Kim for the minutes, and Charles and Mantora, and we just worked it over, hashed it out, and came to a conclusion that this is what we would like to bring forward. But I think we also have one for October. Do we have August? And then October for the budget. And then I don't think we have another one until, it's January.
Yeah,
It's
it's
January. And then I think the next one would maybe be March or April. But I think everybody needs to have one near the budget time. And then oftentimes it's the discretion of the chair, depending on what's going on in your committee, as to how you want to base your quarterly meetings, so.
Right. And it does give you the leeway to have more should you need
Right.
them.
Yeah.
But at least also, though, to get them on the calendar so
Right.
people can plan
Yeah,
around them or with them. or-
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, we have said from the start this was fluid in nature. We wanted to see.
We're
Yeah.
coming to an agreement.
We are. Anybody else?
No, I
Charles, Ray?
I think it's good, and at our meeting, I think all ended up giving a lot of discretion to Jill to say, yeah, it's time, let's get,
Right.
we need another one, and at the proposition of the committee chair, and also on her own if she sees fit at any time. So I think we have the ability to do it both ways. It doesn't need to just be quarterly, and a lot of flexibility, so I think it'll work well. But it also, I think, achieves the original intention, which was to pare down these extraneous meetings and allow her to spend her time doing her job
Okay.
day to day.
Anybody else have anything to say about it? So now we bring it forward next meeting as a resolution, and then we add it to,
Or
The
executive policy.
executive policy. We're
okay.
making progress,
We add it to the manual.
page by page.
Yes.
Okay,
Inch
then
by
the,
inch.
the second policy would be for the actual work session meetings. Pursuant to Borough Code 10-10, there shall be borough work session meetings which will be held before all regular scheduled council meetings in accordance with the established schedule for regular meetings of the governing body approved by resolution at the annual organization meeting of the borough. Work session meetings shall be conducted as set forth in this policy. Copies of the agenda shall be made available to all members of the public in attendance. All backup material will only be provided to Borough Council and personnel. No formal action will be taken in work session meetings. Recommendations may be made to bring forward at a regular scheduled council meeting. Actionable items should be brought to a work session prior to any action at a regular meeting unless authorized by Borough Administrator. Items not required to be submitted for work session first will be reviewed in an agenda review meeting. Procedures. Committee chairs should submit their agenda topics to the Borough Clerk and Administrator no later than the Tuesday before the upcoming council meeting to allow the Borough Clerk to prepare work session agenda. All backup materials must be submitted by the Wednesday before the upcoming council meeting. Department heads should submit their monthly reports to the Borough Clerk and Administrator no later than the Wednesday before the upcoming council meeting. The schedule for work session discussions, presentations, and reports. The first Tuesday of the month, Admin and Finance, Public Works and Utilities, and then the third Tuesday of the month is Natural Resources, Recreation and Tourism, and Public Safety. And then schedule subject to change if an emergency or time constraint arises. The agenda, the sequence for the agenda shall be as follows. Work session meeting called to order, roll call, announcement of open public meetings law, salute the flag, reports of committees and officers, discussion items brought forward by committee chairs, administrator, or department heads, and then motion to adjourn. Short and sweet.
Cut and dry.
Cut and dry.
Any discussion on that, anybody? We've been pretty much doing it, moving along. It'll just
Yeah,
at
this
least
just
get
kinda
your agenda
formalizes what
items
it is.
to you and get some kind of
Yeah,
formality in getting the information.
we really have to adhere. I don't know, Sue, is it getting any better? Are people getting the things to you?
Some are.
Some are.
Some
Okay.
are.
Well, there's 5 of us here tonight, so we all have to do that because you can't have an agenda meeting unless you know what's on the agenda. And then Sue needs the topics to send out to us to get us all the information we need. So Tuesday and Wednesday are critical prior to a meeting.
And just so, I don't know if everybody is aware, but Karen and I meet with Sue and Carrie and Jill the Tuesday between council meetings. So that's when those items, that Jill can authorize don't need to come forward. There will be in a room to make sure that everything
Yeah.
is taken care of that way. Anybody?
No questions or issues, we'll bring that one forward in the same manner.
Excellent.
I have something to ask. It might be on the subject or off the subject. We had not discussed changing, or the attendance article that we have on attendance about meetings, regular meetings. I mean,
I think that's in the ordinance, correct? These are the resolutions, that's by ordinance.
Yeah,
know,
and
but
I think it does state that. I think maybe Jill might have skipped over it. But it does state it in our
As a policy.
a policy where it said they should
Yeah,
attend
At
three
least
of the
three.
4 quarterly meetings.
yeah, yes, I see that. All members
Yeah.
should attempt to attend a minimum of three standing meetings.
Right.
Okay,
Now, then we have the amending the chapter of the ordinances on attendance coming up for discussion as an ordinance.
okay.
Is that what?
That's the one that I was curious, because I still need an interpretation of what a regular meeting is, a scheduled meeting is. And it says, you know, which we still don't, I don't think we've clarified whether the committee meetings are what? Scheduled meetings, regular meetings?
The committee, I would think the committee meetings are exactly what we're setting up through the executive policy, and they're not covered by the ordinance. The ordinance is covering these meetings,
Yeah.
regular/work session.
Correct.
So in the draft that I did for your discussion, we revised the wording to read 3 consecutive regular/work session scheduled meetings. We go on to indicate that for the purposes of this ordinance, each regular meeting/work session of the governing body shall be considered one meeting. So that's one meeting. Attendance at subcommittee meetings shall not be included in this requirement. So the subcommittee meetings are not included in the attendance policy.
Okay, so someone can be on a committee and miss all the meetings.
Well, that's, we didn't.
In theory.
The last discussion was,
in here
we
it
weren't
says
gonna
you can't.
include that. So I sent it
Committee
over here
meetings.
for discussion.
No, it says
You
you
guys
should
have to
do it.
decide what it is
Says
that
you
you wanna.
I had said, my feeling is, I think we're almost superseding our authority by then moving to remove an elected official that the populace has voted for. So I think that I think we're getting into a ground that,
I agree with you. It seems, well, it just seems backwards that if you're going to have only 4 meetings and you're asking everybody to get to 3, at least try to get to 3.
well, let's just see if it happens first, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, like, I just think that it really concerns me that the public elects us, and then when we start to come up with ways to remove somebody who's been elected, we're putting ourselves in a situation where we could get ourselves in
Yeah,
trouble.
and I'm not talking about being removed. I'm just saying that the incentive, I would think, for all of us is to make every meeting that we possibly can.
Well, I had said it
Yeah.
just in an email exchange,
that's-
attendance implied.
Yeah, that's my job.
Like, I just think it's implied, and if somebody's not doing their job, then the electorate votes them out.
This is
Well,
why.
the electorate's never going to know who goes to council
Sure they will,
meetings
but I
and who
would,
doesn't.
well, and I'm sorry for interrupting.
Not council meetings, committee meetings. That's not something that we announce, well, so-and-so hasn't made 3 committee meetings. I'm not saying.
You run somebody against them when they come up for reelection. That's what you do. If
Well-
somebody's not doing their job and you feel strongly that they're not fulfilling their obligation to the voter, then you run somebody against them.
I just would hope that everybody has the interest
Yes, you
to
would.
attend
Yes,
meetings that
you
we
would.
are expected to show up to.
I think one of the reasons we put that in here, it is a policy, and every new council member coming on should get a copy of all these things. And it says, you know, when I first came on, I just thought anything that I was put on, I had to attend. I never gave it a thought. But there are some who don't feel that it's important to do that. So it's in the policy now that you should attend at least 3 of the quarterly meetings. If that person doesn't, then as far as I'm concerned, they're derelict. And they're not doing what they have been elected to do. It's on them, and we have a means in our ordinance for these meetings. So I guess that's what we have to
Okay.
do.
Just curious.
Let the public decide when, it'll get out there. It'll get out there that people aren't attending the meetings, they're not doing the job.
And I think I agree with you in that a guideline is now, is at least established for a new person who was told,
Yeah.
okay, you're the chair, so get 4 meetings on the schedule, and here's what's going to happen in addition. Your other your other committees, you're going to have those 4 meetings, and it's starting to provide a framework to work within.
Yeah.
If someone does not work within that framework, and perhaps they are strongly opposed to having meetings that are not in public, that may be their stance. And I think you just start to, we're getting into an area we could get ourselves in trouble. And I think the way that we could get ourselves in trouble is because they've been elected. And now we're starting to dictate what they should be doing as an elected official.
But they've been elected to do the job.
Right.
And there has been policy and procedure to do that job
Yeah, and it's written here.
when they were
The
elected.
old is still written here and still there before we start to change
Right.
it.
We're not setting a new policy. It was, my favorite word, assumed that once you took office, you attended every meeting you were expected to attend, unless you had.
You would
cause.
try, yes. that
If
you would
somebody,
try.
if you died, or
Yes.
you were sick, or a
Yes.
family member died.
Yes.
That's one thing. But for no good reason, to not attend a meeting is dereliction of your job.
I do think we got a little gray, though, with the committee meetings, because we did say we weren't going to have them. And then we saw that we needed them. But we did say we weren't going to have them, and I think we got a little gray, and this is kind of reining that in, so to speak. But I really think there was a little bit of confusion as to, are we having committee meetings or are we not? I think everybody would agree that there was some confusion.
Well, if
And I think that gray is now becoming more black.
And if it is black and white, that there are indeed 4 meetings, that's fair. However, it's my opinion that the wording here might be a bit too soft, to attempt to attend. You know, you got to the front door and you changed your mind, you made an attempt. I just think that I look at it as, I'm on Karen's A&F committee. If she has 4 meetings, and I know she'll have to have 4 just or have at least 4 by the nature of her committee, and I attempt to make 3, but I can only make 1 or 2 throughout the year, I'm not sure that I'm equipped to be able to discuss or to support what she's bringing forth. And if I can't do that, then I'm not doing my job.
Well said.
And I do not think that, and again, the people of Stone Harbor is who elect us. And I think we're getting in an area we could get ourselves in trouble if we have means within our ordinances or our resolutions to remove somebody based on the fact that you disagree with how they are choosing to fulfill their obligation. That's, and and like I said, I think that it's implied when attendance at the meetings is implied.
But
So
prior
what you're
prior to all
saying-
this, we had 12 meetings. Each committee had a meeting a month, you know, and I know we've changed it to now 4. I don't think that's asking a lot.
No, and I don't think
I
it's
don't- I
asking a
don't know
lot
how-
either.
yeah.
No, yeah, I think what you're misunderstanding is I do not have a problem with the framework. I have a problem with putting a penalty in there. Just put the framework in place. My problem is the penalty should you not follow the framework.
Well, the
That's my
penalty
problem.
is in there, was in there, and has been in there, and now we're,
For council meetings.
yes, I mean,
Council
it's
meeting.
Right.
written right here in black and white, so the penalty is already written
So it
down.
Right.
almost sounds as though when you're elected, you can decide
Right,
what you want to do.
yeah.
I would
don't-
say there's truth to that, yes.
Yes.
But there's
Yes,
ordinances.
within the framework, yes.
But
within
they're
the
not
framework.
within the framework. It's not within the framework.
No, within,
Within the ordinance. The ordinance defines when there's a penalty, a legitimate penalty takes place. I think what everyone's discussing here is trying to
Right.
extend that now to committee meetings, because committee meetings on a quarterly basis have become more important since there's 4 now rather than 12. So
Yeah.
let's just say, for instance, you're more or less trying to condense 3 meetings that you would have ordinarily had in a quarter into 1 meeting in a quarter now. But on top of that, we're adding a work session prior to the meeting.
Yeah,
So
but without a meeting, how do you determine what to bring to a work session as a committee chair?
Right.
How do you determine?
I think you're working with Jill. I think you're working with Jill on that. And again, it's the framework is good and within an executive policy. It's the penalties. We're going to get ourselves in trouble.
And we have penalties in the ordinance for not attending a regular meeting, 3 consecutive ones in a row. It basically
Yeah,
says if
we
you're
didn't
that
put that there.
derelict-
That was there for us to
That's what I
to
mean,
do.
that's
But it was
already been
just-
there.
Right.
But it was just for a regular meeting.
Just for
Yeah.
regular
Always
meetings.
just for a regular meeting. to
However,
keep
it said
council from going away for
Yeah.
3 months
Right.
and not showing up.
Right.
Right, so the true intent of that was so someone, I guess,
Go to Florida.
a snowbird, so to speak,
Right.
Really
on
sets a
council
minimum
doesn't come
standard.
January, February, and March.
Right.
That was the intent.
That's why I was only trying to get the definition of what, I understand when you say to attend this is the old rules, 3 consecutive meetings, regular, and then there's a comma after it. So to me, I just wanted to know what a regular meeting is, which I believe is a council meeting.
The 4:30 meeting.
It had nothing to do with no interest or.
Yeah, no, yeah,
before.
right. But then it goes comma, and it says scheduled meetings. Well, I thought they were committee meetings. But it
Regular
included that.
scheduled meetings.
Yeah.
It was one.
But it's not written that way, that it's, you take the comma out. Regular scheduled meetings would mean council meetings. That's all I'm trying to find.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Oh.
Perhaps that was just bad grammar.
And/or scheduled meetings.
that's what the comma means.
The purpose of this ordinance, each regular meeting, work session of the governing body shall be considered one meeting.
Well, this is, okay, so this is the revision.
What is this?
Yeah, I still have the old one in front
Yeah,
of me.
the old, yeah, the original one.
I'm looking at the old one,
And I
which,
tried to clarify
Yeah,
that by
yeah.
getting rid of all that.
I think what Sue was saying in the ordinance, or in this, it says attendance at subcommittee meetings. Sue was asking what's a subcommittee?
I don't know what a
That would be
subcommittee
standing committee.
Rather than
He's ref-
subcommittee.
So
Mark is
that's-
referring to the standing
So
committees.
that's the 4 times a year.
Yes,
Fine.
shall not be concluded
But
in
it's called
this requirement.
This is
We
the only
have
place
to-
it's called a subcommittee.
No, that's, you need
So
to
we
just
can-
change it.
Change it.
That's the reference,
And
yes.
then it goes on to say, because Karen had made this suggestion regarding absences, absences due to, and we revised it to read, personal illness or the death of a family member shall be excusable and not counted toward the absences referenced